Hey, people. We are back on the Water Talks podcast with myself, Nate. We got Miss Mystical Crystal, the illustrious Ama, and the wondrous Rev Bear. I don't know. I did that as an exercise in class today. So sorry. Teacher mode still on. But we're here on this Friday after I don't know. I don't want to start because I'm gonna start preaching because I haven't said anything. So I'm gonna just pass it over to Alma.
And I thank you for passing it to me. Welcome, everybody. I'm certain that we're looking forward to the rest of this weekend. Okay, there we are again. So let's try it again. Welcome everyone. I know everyone this week has been exhausting for all kinds of reasons. But before we talk about anything to do with tired or any of that stuff, we're going to move it over to Rev Bear, who is going to open the door, open the way for us before we get into our conversation for today. And I'm going to pass it over to you.
Ashe. Good evening, everyone. So for tonight, I was guided to reach over to my right, my far right, where I stash away my oracle cards, and I was guided to the Earth Warriors Oracle deck. And the card that jumped out at me is card number 27. For those of you who are into numerology and other things, 27, and the card is the Pono Pono card. Immeasurable power of the heart way. Pono Pono comes from the prayer and philosophy of the natives of Hawaii. It's Oponopono prayer. And here is the reading, and I offer this reading as our words of inspiration. The divine within your heart has the power to transform a situation that is troubling you. Do not be intimidated or think it is too much for you or the divine to handle. Do not allow yourself to intellectualize or analyze a situation to the point of feeling confused or paralyzed. Healing through the heart on any and all issues that have plagued you or a loved one can and will happen. Let your heart feel the faith it needs to feel so that it can rest in joy. Divine healing wants to flow abundantly to you. Open up to receive it without hesitation and without condition. I share these words into the space.
Mm.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I There's so much that has come up for me. It's almost like I feel it bouncing around in me, different parts. Like first of all, the 27 and the 9. For me, immediately, I'm like, okay, so what is this mastery? What is this completion energy? And then, whole Ponopono, I'm like, oh, whoa, this is, the great prayer of compassion. And then we move from there into the great heart way. So it is telling me that I'm gonna go grab my Earth Warrior deck, which I love. Mine is a little far to the right. I can't just reach over and grab it. I need to get up and go walk and get it. But that being said, um, this is very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a very inspiring message for us to be able to start the conversation off with this idea or this energy around the great heart way. So I'm gonna pause right there to pass it on, but because I think that I'm gonna likely be touching parts of the card as we talk, like as we go on. But again, you know, that the understanding of, and when I think about Ho'oponopono as a medicine, so much of it has to do with this energy of forgiveness. And not just forgiveness of the other, but forgiveness of the self. You know,
Forgiveness
what are you
yourself.
forgiving in your own self? And I think this is a if we were to say that this was a message for humanity, I don't child. I know I ain't gonna put it on humanity. I'm gonna just pick it up and put it on myself and say that this is a message about self-forgiveness, in order to go forward from this day, you know, to go forward in a good way. That's my share. What you got? Anybody?
I am just so overwhelmed by the selection. You know, I want to say I appreciate you guys so much because, you know, I was married for 30 years, you know, and one of the reasons that I was really resistant to formalizing, you know, becoming divorced is because my spouse has always, he'd be looking at me, my ex-spouse, he used to be looking at me like I was crazy, but I could tell him, you know, where I'm going now, right? Like spiritually, you know, I'm gonna go do this thing. He's like, what? I guess, you know, but that's your stuff, it's not mine. So I was like, you know, I don't know if I'll be able to replace that characteristic, you know, in the subsequent mate. But what I'm about to share with y'all, I was like, I'm so grateful. I still am able to share that that so-called kooky side of myself with a solid group of people, you know. But the one of the things that I have been doing is working with everything in my life as if it's for me, like on a very literal sense to establish. I'm doing micro practices to establish macro practices. So I can like get my brain to automatically think about everything literally for me in this moment, orchestrated by myself. So said all of that to say, I had an experience where I hadn't been upset in a long, long time. And I got really upset like last weekend, but I didn't feel it the way I normally felt it. And I did the little micro practice. You know, this is for me. I orchestrated this shit. You know what I'm saying? I tell myself, you orchestrated it. So self, let's talk about what is this? What is it that we're trying to do right now? And in that moment, the answer was from my spirit that, you know, that it needed an infusion of energy. So the quickest way to get energy from me was an emotion. Doesn't matter which one it is. And so in the moment, I was like, well, you know, I feel upset. I'm really upset, but I really don't know what to do. You know, I have a way I used to respond. I don't really know what the new response is. And myself said to me, just give it all to me. Give it all to me. And so I sat there. I just kind of took a posture of giving it all to my spirit self. And then I felt it burn off of me and I felt it cool. And I felt my life say, thank you. I needed that energy. And then I started talking to myself about how I wanted to go back and tell these people how upset I was and da 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 da. And I realized in that moment that I would have given the energy that I was supposed to give myself in that moment to someone else. And so with the Ho'oponopono prayer, I'm going to bring it around. The Ho'oponopono prayer is really, really close. Like it's one of those things that fixed me also. And as the card indicated about like this infinite heart work, one of the micro practices I had surrounding the Ho'oponopono prayer had to do with the idea of constantly saying, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I'm grateful, I love you. And there was also another one, I'm trying to remember what was, Ikaponomea. Ikaponomea is a different aspect of the Ho'oponopono prayer from a different group of Hawaiians. Okay. And so what I learned about it was that going back to this whole idea of speaking to my life, like making everything about me, like I created that. What am I trying to teach myself? I feel like the Ho'oponopono prayer was a major foundation to even get me to be able to do that, to be able to say to myself, in this world that you have created, and then realizing that that saying that was really to myself, to my soul, because when I decide to engage with others a certain way, it is my soul and my life that feels it first and strongest. So if I'm angry, I might be like, I'm going to go over there and let these people know how angry I am. But the course for me to express that anger literally comes through me first. So it hits the whole energetic field first. It hits my body first. It hits my heart first. It hits my soul first. So that means it gets the most powerful aspect of what I'm trying to give out to somebody else. And so I had to learn, what is the cost of engaging other people in that way? It actually can be damaging, and often is, to myself first and foremost. So that was a beautiful card. Which deck? I can ask you about that later, but I definitely want that deck.
Welcome in, Hannah. Welcome in, Hannah. We were taking a little time to start out and opening up our conversations that's just going to end up flowing with Rev Bear sharing a card from the Earth Warrior deck Oracle card. I don't know if he wants to repeat any highlights from it, but I just wanted to let you know what we were talking about right now, just getting everybody a chance to share into the space. Rev, can you share from the card for Hannah and for any new listeners?
Yes. So with the card, again, it was the 27th card, 27. So that may have some significance for some people. Pono Pono is the title. And the reading from this card, and this is from the Earth Warriors Oracle. Alana Fairchild is the co-creator. And so the reading from this card is as follows. The divine within your heart has the power to transform a situation that is troubling you. Do not be intimidated or think it is too much for you or the divine to handle. Do not allow yourself to intellectualize or analyze a situation to the point of feeling confused or paralyzed. Healing through the heart on any and all issues that have plagued you or a loved one can and will happen. Let your heart feel the faith it needs to feel so that it can rest in joy. Divine healing wants to flow abundantly for you. Open up to receive it without hesitation or condition. So that was the reading. And the oversimplified, but the four basic steps of the Ho'oponopono prayer are: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And one of the ways I've used this prayer, I have a program called uh, I'm about to call it the Weird the Mystic Heart, and that is not the name of it. Uh, but it's a program around guiding you to your spiritual heart and awakening to your master self. And we use this prayer in one of the activities where you speak this to yourself. You speak this prayer to yourself in meditation or in sacred space, maybe in the mirror, but you speak it to yourself. And it can be a way of offering self-forgiveness, forgiveness of self. And then it can be a way of opening ourselves to our inner self. So I appreciate this prayer. I appreciate the Ho'oponopono prayer.
That's really beautiful. Thank you. Did everybody already respond to this?
Kind of, sort of, yes. I'll probably say some more at the end, but definitely we've all kind of shared a little bit. And so if you'd like to share.
I'm sorry that I missed some of that. Yeah, thanks for letting me come on a little late. Yeah, no, it definitely brings up a lot. I mean, the first thing is hearing you, Rev Bear, talk about like the practice in the mirror makes me think of the loving kindness meditation, which I'm sure people are familiar with. And I remember when my therapist was challenging me to make sure to be doing that on a regular basis, which I can't say that I do, but I have noticed like an extreme impact when I actually follow that advice. And I love the idea of a practice of healing through the heart and forgiveness, like having to be like that, it has to begin with yourself. If you can't treat yourself well, then it can't like ripple out to other people, which yeah, just like really resonates with my experience as a parent, where all of the things that have rougher edges, or like the things that I have not resolved in my relationship to myself, like come to the surface so much with my kid. She's so sensitive and she'll pick up on those things. So that's like a very like immediate for me, like example or illustration of like self-forgiveness and self-love. Like it's an ongoing practice, and you don't have to be like perfect or anything, but like is necessary to love other people well too. I also just came from, the reason I'm late is that I was talking to a group of community art students, and just was reflecting on some of the work that like Amma and I did with forests over the years, and with like survivors of sexual violence. And I'm just thinking about, I would like to use this practice to like extend like forgiveness and empathy to just like myself and us that did that work between the last time Trump was elected president. Like we were doing organizing around sexual violence like during Trump's presidency. And I don't know if I've ever really extended us like just a lot of like mushy energy for how hard that was. That was really hard. That was a hard time to be doing that work. So thank you for this practice.
I really appreciate you talking about the hard work that we don't always give ourselves a chance to lean into. And I know, Nate, you're moving home, so when you get settled, we can't wait for you to jump in here. You can jump on whenever you're ready to.
I'm here.
But okay. Would you like to share about the card before I start talking about this
Yes,
work thing?
I'm gonna keep it brief and say, you said something, Hannah, and I heard it in the mix of it, but just learning to forgive yourself for harboring an energy that keeps you from growing or moving forward, this week has definitely shown me my age growth, in that I feel, and really thanks to you, Amma, because we've started to have these conversations in passing, and now with intention, on purpose. But it's forcing me to think about my growth rather than my failures, or what I feel around me is negative energy. This week has shown me how to let go and just be in the moment of my present, minus anything that may be going wrong around me, may not be going the way I want it to go. Individuals that I've had to step away from, not simply because of this week, but just in general, just in growth. But this week has been hard. It's been hard to choose joy. Despite me doing so, it's just been a challenge in my growth. And I feel so vindicated now in that I am choosing me, I'm choosing joy, I'm choosing individuals that support me. And I'm okay with ignoring anything else that does not feed or fuel me or finance me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with moving past it and just being in a present space of just happy. And it feels shocking. It really feels shocking for me because I internalize so much, but I've made a choice to just let stuff go and just hit the eject button and just let it just flow off of me and not let it disturb me the way it did when this happened before. Not let it attack me the way I allowed it to attack me before. But yeah, that's hearing that card reading and just this space right now, that's where I'm at. Just forgiving myself for just being human.
That's so it's so real. And I think that, one of the things that is coming up for me when I'm looking at the conglomerate of everyone's share, even from, Rev pulling the card, me being caught with, the heart and just really sitting with the heart. I literally needed to hear it again to be like, how'd you miss this other stuff? So that's why I was so glad when he said it again. Um, and then to listen to you, Crystal, speak specifically about, a space that you occupied in the past where your self-being wasn't always appreciated, and now having a chance where you get to still be who you are, and doing so with the power of this prayer. It's a small practice for self-transformation. Then to hear you, Hannah, speak about the mirror work. And so you having already a way to, like, I think I've done something like this before, but even to share, and it was really hard to do it. Like my therapist literally, had to that this therapy. I know about the therapy nudges. My therapist nudges me. I tend to do it, but I do know about those therapy nudges. Um, and when you brought up the conversation about recognizing, that was really hard. So then it brings me to Nate's share about acknowledging that this week was really hard, and even in the acknowledgement of it, it gave me the space to dismiss it, to let it go, to say, hey, I'm gonna get rid of, we're gonna kick this out, we're gonna put this in the closet, we're gonna throw this in the trash, whatever you needed to do to eject that emotion. But it could not can it what the there's a saying that says, you can't heal what you won't reveal. You can't heal what you won't reveal. Ha, you can't. Anyway, I'll start a song in a minute, y'all.
No,
But
wait, just pause in that real quick. I like
yeah.
that just this has been emotional. But that is like I couldn't put it into words. But that's a statement.
You can't heal what you won't reveal.
Mm, mm.
And the thing about that revelation is in my own walk this week, and we can maybe share about this in my own walk. You know, there are things that I did not know that I was hiding from myself.
Mm, mm,
I had created a mythos and a story about things. And
mm.
it was my lovely therapist who said, "So is that what they actually said? Or is that so that's what they've said when you talk to them?" And I'm like, I mean, no, but I mean, I like they said this, and that this is not what I said that they said. And so the process of, you know, having safe spaces, so that's going to be something to consider. Safe spaces that allow us to like to let it out so that you can get the strength to go find those things. Like you said, Hannah, to go back and look at that was really hard work. Remember, like, so it's so easy to, and you're moving forward and moving on because life is always life. And as we know, life is always being lived, it's always giving us the next goal. It can be very easy to just move on to the next thing because, now I just got to get up and do this. And you just let it, you never really reflect. And even if you reflect, what about the things that fall into the shadow of, I ain't even trying to deal with that. I don't even want that on my mind. And so you toss them to the side. And that becomes, in some ways, I'm feeling some of the places where I don't know why I'm hearing the yuck monster, but like where the boogeyman lives, like that they become the places where the pain lives, where the fiery, and they won't believe, or and what this is, or how it always is, whatever those stories are that haven't been examined. Even I'm as opposed to saying that I'm tired, saying I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, that's not true. Sometimes we do know exactly what's wrong, you know, but it can be scary to have spaces to even get in the mirror with yourself or your own journal to be able to say, this. I can, how about, I'll use this one. Let me say what I was going to say. This shit for the birds. This shit for the birds. This is crazy. And as I said to one of my brothers who caught me this morning, we were sitting outside the school, and I knew we needed to decompress. And so he was going, we were talking, we were sharing. And at the end of it, it's like this understanding that there are places where we can be safely seen. And when you feel safely seen, you can do like the big courageous, like lion, what is it, David and Goliath work of slaying your own inner things. And I'll just say I've been doing that this week. So I think that this compassion work, it may be a deeper work for many of us to look at the hard stuff, the stuff that we have been doing, the stuff we need, because feel like we just stepped into a new world. Who feels like we're in a new world, an old world, or so, the world feels like it changed, even though it's still the same. Anybody want to talk about the world feeling like it's changed, even though it's still the same? Everything has changed.
It has taken, I don't know how long for us as people of color, Black people specifically, to realize we are what we have. Not only that we sitting on the side of we need each other, but we've had each other's back despite our differences or disagreements. I've heard so many people acknowledge that we did this for not only our selfish selves, but the selves we haven't seen yet or met yet or whatever meet. And the fact that it's taken this type of catastrophe to happen for us to realize we are really all we need and all we've had. I don't know. I've seen so many people backslide on their ignorance from the last couple years, or their viewpoints or political stances, and realize we're all we have. Now there are a few people who still need to understand that and get that, but I'm starting to hear that in a way that I've never heard it before. That has made this week not tough or made me feel angry in this.
I definitely hear you when it talks about this energy of people saying, but it sounded like maybe I was. Sometimes I need to understand better when you said people have said certain things in a way that made it not feel tough. They said it
Well, for me,
differently.
that so for me, it a couple years ago, 8 years ago, I was angry. I was furious. I wanted to know who everybody voted for. I wanted to know who swiped right or left. Who went left here? This week, I didn't care, because when we saw the polling demographics and we realized we as people of color came out not just for another black person, but just for the greater good. There were people who decided to cross over, or decided to, make sure they did it this time for the sake of people that they have not even met in a future tense. They finally cared about your children across the street, Alma, and they've never even met them. It feels like more people have cared this time. A lot of people had their own selfish agendas and intentions, but it just felt like, what I'm hearing is not a lot of hurt. I'm hearing we are all we have, and we got to maintain that by all means necessary, or this will continue to happen. Like, I just felt a sense of, like, self-love magnified in how people are responding. Last time it was a lot of anger and a lot of hurt and a lot of resentment. But I don't think people can be mad. One, because we're not surprised. But two, I just don't think people are in a space of being angry anymore. I may be wrong, but I just didn't feel the anger attached to this result this time.
I definitely hear what you're sharing, and I think that's going to be interesting to hear what others have to say about it. I think that I've seen people who were kind of numb. I met a lot of people who were numb and didn't quite know what to say, and so they were going through the process of um,
Right,
of
right.
living out their experience. But I can from I see it all over, but I also the thing that gave me hope for this week. So since you brought in like the thing that encouraged you around this new beginning and this new era and what all this mean, for me, what has been interesting has been and it goes to that idea what you said. We all we have, we got, we're all we have. I've said this to people, like when I'm doing something for someone and they're like, I can't believe you did this for me. I'm like, honey, we all we have. You need somebody to stretch. If I don't stretch, maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. But I know that it's my opportunity to serve. Um, but the point of it is, inside of that, we're all we have. A message came to me about proximity and my family who were close to me. And what does that mean? And this entire week has been one of not feeling the greatest. Whatever's going on, God bless it, kiss it up to God. But at the same time, there's then this energy of connection,
Right.
connection, and a connection that I'm not running from. I can run from connections, y'all. And for those who don't know, if you don't know that about me, I can definitely run away from a connection. I'm like, yeah, I'll get to you when I get to you. But right now, something different is happening. I am still choosing the self-care model of what I got to do to make sure I'm okay. That feels really important. But in order to get to it, I've now had to start getting honest about things that were hidden, that were cloaked in shadow, things that I'm needing to forgive myself for or find out the truth of, and find out, is this an old raggedy story that's still over here wreaking havoc in my life? Let me get rid of this story and choose a different, ABC. Choose a different ABC. But I know that my ABC, one thing I've gotten from the lessons of this ABC of this walk so far is that my ABC has to include you and me. It has to include we somehow as much as possible. Because when we are living inside of mechanized, this is just what it is, it's just rolling down from somebody up top telling us their information, we gonna get by with the people who are right next to us, and like, look, you need to know about this, or did you hear about that, or let me tell you about this. Like, if that's how I feel like that's important, at least for me. So I'm glad to share about that. Anybody else would like to share about new beginnings for this week, maybe the energy of their ABCs, in terms of what it feels like to be beginning again with this, with the changes of this week?
I like to share. What comes to me as I'm listening is the image of when it's time to clean out the refrigerator. You got to open the refrigerator, and you got to look what's on that first shelf and what's behind the milk carton, and you got to check the expiration date on those containers. And then you got to go into the vegetable bin and the fruit bin and look at, what looks good on top when you pick it up. It ain't good at the bottom. Then you got to look on the shelf, on the door handles, the door shelves, and see, how long you'd have had that ketchup. And something in there that you'd have had it so long that the expiration date has worn off. And then you go into the freezer and you got those things where the frost has covered everything. You don't know what's in it. Or you got those Tupperware containers, Tupperware-like containers, and you don't know how long it's been in there. And, you decide whether do I take the time to thaw it out to see what's in there, or do I just and save the Tupperware, or do I just get rid of the whole Tupperware container and everything's in it? And if we're going to clean the refrigerator, we got to be willing to go in there and look at what's in there. And on some level, this week has given people an opportunity to see what's in there. They've been operating from what they thought was in the refrigerator. And now you open it up, and now you get to see what's in the refrigerator. And then you can make a decision about what to release and what not to release. The other thing about this week, I think it's new beginnings, but I also think it's old beginnings too. I'm a firm believer that we all on this planet, but we are not in the same dimension. We are not operating in the same level of consciousness. And one of the challenges or revelations that came to me over watching this, election and all of that is, we got at least two Americas. We don't have one America. We got at least two. And one of the things that Obama had said, he said, this is a big country with lots of people, and how to govern or navigate with that many people, with that many ideas and wants and needs and desires and perspectives and positions and all of that. And I've agreed with that. It's like, how in the world do we, so many opposing opinions and they're all right and they're all wrong, and how do we get this? I don't think that has gone away. I think that is still there, and there is an opportunity for new beginnings. it's like I was saying one other day, I was quoting that opening to that book, and I don't remember the name of the book, but it's like, these are the best of times and these are the worst of times. And it's like someone can choose to get stuck in what has happened and try to figure out and all of that. And many people will do it until you get to a place where you want to shift out of that to see the possibilities. What are the possibilities? What can I create? And if I'm going to make dinner based on what I think is in my refrigerator, or do I make dinner by opening my refrigerator and seeing what's in there, what is worthy of my time to create a dish, something new. So I think we got both going on. There's an old time, because some people are not ready to shift into the new time. They won't. They've been fighting to hold on to the old time. But then there are those who are ready to shift into a new time, new possibility. Some people were shocked into that. For me, this week has been relatively peaceful, surprisingly peaceful, an inner quiet. And I know, or what I think I know, it's leading up to, this weekend and next week. And an opportunity for me is, do I dive into what has happened and why it happened and all of that, and I have my thoughts and I have my moments and I have my every now and then I'll cry, bullshit, this is all bullshit, and I was like, okay, I said it, let me move on. And or do I seize the opportunity to allow what it and being offered to create anew? I one of the other things for me about this week is I feel the woe, I feel the heavy, I feel the anger, I feel the sadness, I feel the depression, I feel a couple of people are saying I can't get out of bed, the grief. Then I feel the clarity. I feel the opening to possibilities. I feel all of that and kind of see all of that, from my perspective. And I see a lot of people feel lost. What do I do now? Where do I go now? What do I do now? The disappointment, the frustration. I see the smiles on some people's faces, and those smiles are ugly, but that's my judgment. Because it's not a smile of embracing the victory. It's a smile of embracing the I gotcha. And that's out there too. So I'm all over the place and I know where I am. Now, I'm complete for now.
I really appreciate everything you just said, and certainly what everybody has said. When I have an understanding of something, I tend to, especially if I know there's a gap between like a common understanding, I don't necessarily take a bullhorn and say, hey guys, it's just the US is just a big machine. It doesn't really matter who's the president. It's like whatever rolls out has been planned for a long time. They just decided who was going to be a player. They've decided who's going to be the face of what was already rolled out. That's my perception of America. But I don't feel, so for me, this whole thing has been, just it's the next day, it was just the next day for me. And I kind of even forgot about the election until my daughter, called me about midday. She's like, you heard the news? And I was like, what? because that's really what I believe, and so, but at this in time, I did feel something when I woke up. I just was like, I don't know what that was. I felt it really strong, sort of like a little somber glove over me, or not glove, like energy. It was just felt really somber, but as an individual, felt okay. Um, and I'm saying that to say, in terms of being insensitive, because I know it's a real serious thing for a lot of people. I'll hear people say, well, I'm here to trigger people, but I'm like, I guess, I mean, I don't really need to play that role. The life is triggering enough, for God's sakes, just let people feel whatever it is they want to feel. And in terms of at least two Americas, I mean, I definitely believe that. And Nate, you were saying how you were angry 8 years ago. This year, you were not angry. You just were like, okay, great. This thing about how our strongest emotions sort of pull in similar experiences. You were saying how the people were different both times. It reminded me of what Baba Kamal told me once. I was like, Baba, when you just said this thing, it really hit me. And I understand it, and I didn't, and I would have reacted differently a few years ago. And he said, well, you're different, right? Number one. So you are going to filter the information differently. But he said also, I'm different. So I'm telling you, so the whole scene is bringing about a new creation. And so I think that in terms of having the two different experiences, I'm applying what he said at that time. But the attention to what we don't want sometimes is quite energetic for, in this case, the individual that we didn't want. He definitely had our attention. And so, whatever occurs, I do truly believe in the power to cast our dreams out and really see evidence daily of what we're calling into our lives and into our world and into the America that we want to be in.
Yes, please share, Hannah. I was getting ready to bring you in because I was thinking about how what you ended on, Crystal, really kind of speaks a little bit to some of the work we do. So please take it away, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm just hearing you talk, Crystal, and thinking about, like, I was with students all day. I was with like undergrads at University of Maryland, and then Mike at our school in Baltimore. And I'm just thinking about their expressions of apathy and fear. And I feel like more than I agree with you, like, about, well, I agree with you that the government is already violent no matter who's in power, and that's true no matter who is going to be elected. And trans people are going to be more vulnerable during this administration. Our environment will be deeply impacted by this administration. A lot of damage will probably be done in the next 4 years. I mean, I think, immigration, I think there are certain things that are like very concrete that will objectively be worse. And then there's other things that were always going to be bad. Like, we were already doing, like, Kamala Harris and Biden were not putting an arms embargo in place in Palestine or trying to stop what's happening in Sudan, or, and so, but the thing that I'm thinking about with being with young people all day, or being with like college age students all day, is so there are a lot of like conspiracy theories and continued like false information online. And I think there is a very concerted effort. I think Trump being elected is evidence of how much organizing and power social justice movements have had. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ organizing for trans rights. Like, I think his election is a direct backlash to that. And I think what I'm trying to figure out the messaging is with students is like to know that people have always been organizing against racist, imperialist, our racist imperialist government. Like, that's not new. That the call to do that isn't new. But the thing that is maybe not unique to Trump, but happening again, because we know that like the government has also been involved in intentionally eroding social movements, like from the inside, COINTELPRO, like it's not new. That's not a new tactic, but Trump and his administration are definitely doing that kind of work right now. And I think it's intentionally to take the wind out of the sails of the movement building that's been happening. And so I guess what I'm sitting with, I'm getting like outside of my own feelings, but I do feel personally like a sense of urgency around how to ground students in history and say like we actually like have to keep fighting, like don't give up, you know? And it's not you don't need to be fighting like the government. Like you can be just not even fighting, like fighting to just stay in community with each other is radical, you know? Fighting to continue to build community with each other is radical. So I guess those are the things I'm thinking. I'm thinking about how Trump and all the people are like they've been very explicit about wanting to like traumatize people and kind of like demotivate people from being able to do the work that they've been doing, you know? And there are, you know, like creepy text messages and videos going around that are like, there's like one of my students showed me a video about, like some conservative bro being like, yes, now we do own your bodies, women. And like, I mean, there are people, you know, to Rev Bear's point, that are like in their glory right now. But basically, like, I just want to figure out how with my students to be like, don't focus on that, focus on each other. You know, all that to say, I'm like, how do we teach people coming up? How can I be part of teaching people coming up how to do that? You know, and then, you know, and it is complicated as a white woman to know that a lot of white women voted for Trump. You know, I'm not. And so, and it's like, I'm not a white woman that the white women that voted for Trump are willing to listen to, but still like, there's something else that I need to be doing with my positionality that I haven't done that I need to figure out. So that there's like, I think what I'm expressing is I feel like a lot of responsibility right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with that.
There two quick points I would like to say. One is we have to be mindful of this. A lot of the information is coming out. That one about showing the statistics of you know the registered voters and how they voted. My question is, how do you know? How do you know? And even if they're in a ballpark figure, we have to be very careful of how we take that and use that, because they be in the opposition, whatever that is, will want you to use it as a way to continue to self-traumatize, and keep you off your game. And so what comes to me is, you know, it came out of the civil rights movement or a song or something, you know, keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the prize. And in this case, we have to be clear about what the prize is. And maybe the prize, what we thought was the prize was the presidency, ain't the prize. Maybe that ain't the prize. And then I woke up when Vice President Harris received the nomination and said yes, and I was like, oh, we got a blue wave coming. There's a blue wave coming. And I felt it, and I could see it in the distance. Like, there's a blue wave coming. And so when, the results were as they were, I'm like, what? I was a little shocked. But I woke up Wednesday morning and I woke up with, what if the blue wave has absolutely nothing to do with politics and it's still coming? What if it has absolutely nothing to do with politics? Because politics keeps it in a small pool. But this blue wave is coming from the ocean, and it's going to drown out that small pool. And so, yes, we have to keep being aware, being mindful, keep fighting, keep praying, keep meditating. But let's take a moment to look at what is the ultimate prize. It may not be presidents, because we have built into it that president, if we're in power in the presidency, then we have the power to make these changes. And what may come out of this is that presidency doesn't have the power we think it has. And so, what if we continue with the blue wave? Although it might be a blue wave and red and purple and green and gold and white and black, and this light wave, if I call it that, is still continuing to come. And the white wave, the spirit wave, the light, it's a light wave. It's a light wave. This light wave don't see color. It don't see the color of your skin. It don't see what you were born sexual, or it don't see that either. I'm calling for what am I doing? What y'all got me doing?
Don't stop. Keep going. You were all the way live. You were just listening.
This light wave, until it gets close enough that we can hear the song it sings, we're gonna call it freedom. Freedom from all internal, external, freedom from all inner and external prisons and jails. And this is a light wave of love, and it brings with this, what love brings. And so maybe it's for us to, we have to feel what we feel about what we went through, and make some sense of it, and find our own sense of peace or non-peace or okayness or whatever. But then it's like, okay, let's pick up our medicine bags. Let's pick up our warrior bags. Let's pick up our prayer bags. Let's pick up our artist bags. Let us pick up our creative bags. Let us pick up our tools. We don't need weapons. We need tools, and forge ahead. Okay, I didn't get hot over here. My neck is hot.
That was so good.
Listen, I want to share the card that I
brilliant
earlier when he said when you pulled your cards, and then you said you're gonna grab some cards. I said, let me grab some too. And the card that I pulled was the midwife. You are the witness to creation. And everything he just said, I was just like, come on in the room. My God. That's what I'm talking about, dream casting now. That's what I'm talking about.
The power of your allowing, right? And that's a part of what this work is as well, right? With those who have the passion and the power to speak should speak, And I appreciate that you allowed that to come through in the way that it did, because I remember when I got the paradox of asking God for a break and realizing, like, how do you know that this thing ain't the break that you just got? And so that feel the same thing in the analogy of you saying, how do we know the blue wave still ain't coming? It just may not show up here. It may not look like this. How do we know we're not getting exactly what we need to do the work that we said we were here to do? And I appreciate that so much because of how it comes back again to Ho'oponopono. And getting back into that heart. The heart to do good, to be good, to do the work. And when you talked about the young people, Hannah, it made me immediately think about this is why we live as the demonstration. They're going to look to us to see, well, how do you keep going? And if we keep going like the status quo, then they keep seeing the same thing that's always ever been. But if we are being in a different way, if we're showing up, I had an image of how mad it would make people if there were a revolution of joy. How it made me think about the Grinch trying to steal Christmas, and they still got up and sang anyway. That energy of I will, that energy of not being moved. We often look at it from the place of freedom fighting, but people who fighting for freedom, it's another way of fighting for love. We're doing it for love. We're doing it for our whole self. So I think about that revolution of joy and the possibilities of what it's going to look like for us to walk it and talk it and be it and self-care our way through it, because that's the other energy too. The pattern watching, which is one of my things. I'm a fan. I'm always looking at. Let me see. What do I see? What's coming through the people? How do all of these thoughts coalesce into information? And as I look at the coalescence of this information, I know that I'm not the only one with the ability to do that. And so I think about, we have had, I think, Hannah, you spoke about the many different movements that we have initiated. I remember the 1% movement. I remember people blocking the streets. I remember, the blocking the streets. I remember the walking. I just remember the audacity of the late 20 teens into the early 20s when everything got shut down. There was still even an audacity even when everything got shut down. How can we still love? How can we still say no? And that was some erosioning at it. But why am I bringing that up? The pattern has to do with this energy of long game. Long game. And I think that it becomes like, if we think that we're going to have victory, we just got to get to some destination or some goal line. We just got to play out this quarter and we're nominated the victor and then we keep going. That doesn't seem how this is being played out. I think that it is being said like it is, I think, Crystal, you mentioned it becomes a small practice that is how you build out the fullness of our lives. Like these little practices, these little things we do every day to build out the fullness of our lives so that we can have the long game process of, erosion of a drop of water, the erosion of a small stream that, wears the way down into where it needs to go. The power of the water and the current, as opposed to thinking that if we go super hard and then they made everything else so hard. I ain't gonna say the system currently is so hard that it can make it easy for people to burn out. And I think that's the one thing that I really want us to guard against. How do we care for ourselves? And I know that's something we've talked about with some of the work we've done in the past, where a lot of times we believe that it's self-care, but you can't. I think the quote about it is something: you can't self-care your way out of systemic problems. You cannot self-care. You can't take enough healing retreats and salt baths and drink enough tea on a one, to be okay for something that is a systemic problem. Systemic problems call for community care. And somehow or another, that becomes a part of the dream that I have for us, Like, I think I mentioned earlier that many people began to check in. And I have some people who know that I checked out. Like, there's some people I have only talked to today who I used to talk to all the time. And they've not because they hadn't reached out to me, just because I haven't talked. And it wasn't that I did not have a peaceful morning as well, because Crystal, I think I stayed up the night of, I think I stayed up the last few elections. Like, I stayed up to see what it was going to be. That night, I just went to bed. I was like, we got one state. I'm going to bed. I'm just going to bed. We're going to see what Nevada look like in the morning, but I'm going to go to bed. And I didn't know until my son told me. So I think that for the young ones, the children, especially the little ones that I'm with every day right now, I'm back with the little kids. So I'm literally hugging the necks of, 5 and 6 year olds. You got a 3-year-old over there. We got these little people, and we have young people. I wonder how. I think we have many examples, though. Give thanks for that pattern that exists inside of it too. Inside of the wave, there are these like comets that have streaked across humanity in their lifetime, who showed us how to deal with the unbearable beautifully, audaciously, creatively. We've had people who have come across the lifetimes, and they brought us something that has given inspiration. I would read the books about it. I'm constantly in that work of it, remembering the people who've gone before is what I'm feeling called to do as well. And that makes sense too with the ancestral time of the season. But thank you so much for everyone bringing all of these things together with their week, and Rev for giving us that sermon. Rev gave us a whole gospel word today. I don't think you plan to.
That's perfect though. The unplanned ones, that's a full moment of channeling, if you ask me. You don't get a chance to like think too much about it. It's out.
Yes.
And I wanted to share Ikaponamea, which is another branch of the Ho'oponopono prayer, or this Ho'oponopono system. She had, I don't remember her name, but she has an entire teaching on this. And I'm just going to stew it down to Ikaponamea. So she was explaining that in life, there's only curses or blessings. There's only, you always have those two dynamics before you, kind of like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. And she said that the only thing that she was like, we were brought up to say the only thing there is blessings. That's it. That's the only thing. Always choose the blessing. And that's what Ikaponamea means. There's only a blessing in front of me, and I wanted to share that, given everything that has been said, that the revolution sometimes is that absolutely choosing the blessing, only the blessing, because they're wanting to present us with an expanded curse. You understand? So I'm definitely going to be running that back again. Ikaponamea. I'm pushing that out and casting that there are only blessings. The only thing to choose is the blessing.
Can I also pick up on something about the self-care thing that you were talking about, Amma? I'm gonna like write a little bit about like self-care and how it's kind of, I feel like the way that we use it now is taken out of context to not mean community care. But where it comes from, and everybody here I'm sure already knows this, but like where it comes from is, first of all, the Black Panther Party and community care and free breakfast and free medical clinics, and the other place that it comes from is Audre Lorde in her writing in her cancer journals. So the quote that always circulates is, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. We all like know that quote, right? And it comes from this like lengthy essay in her cancer journals where she's writing about like being a Black woman, doing the work that she does, surviving cancer, you know, like she's talking about what you were just talking about, like deciding to take a rest, deciding to survive, you know? And I just say that to say that like self-care, as I feel like what it originated as was always about community care. And so I've just been sitting with that. That's all. I just wanted to bring that in.
I appreciate you because I'm looking at that quote right on the wall of my home, right? And I brought it with me from work that I did with the Givers Revival, you know, and a whole movement towards how do we take care of each other? How do we give to the givers in a way where everything is an overflow? And when I tell you it's an overflow, when you're really giving to the givers, so it's making me think about that. So I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about that. It made me also, when I said the Givers Revival, it made me think about, I can't think about the something of the tree, Orchid Street. I can't think of the street. I'm going to look it up. While we're talking, there was a revival. I'm going there now. We done already had the impromptu ministry. We had some testimonies. I've already gifted us some song a couple of times. There's a revival when the movement of the Pentecostal church was being born. And this calling for this work, they thought, you know, they were supposed to have a revival for like 3 days, you know, maybe a week. That revival and healing and spiritual work went on every night for, I want to say, 8 years. 8 years. Completely changed the landscape of the spiritual systems here in America. And it is very much so steeped, even though some of the founders of some of the traditions that came out of it, holiness, Pentecostal, spiritualists, those folks often are male. Their teachers, the one who sent the man to go start that, was a woman. You know, that was his teacher who sent him, you know, who he got the calling to go do this great work. So I think about this revival of an energy, of a way of being that's very deep. Maybe we're getting cracked open to something very deep. Maybe we're getting like, you know, taken into like, you know, original blueprint or new blueprint. Like maybe this is the upgraded old new thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing with that old new idea. But there's a lot to be said, I believe right now, about the things that have come up in our conversation that I think can feed not only myself, but each of us individually in the work we're doing, you know, from personal to community as a part of this, whatever the next is going to be. Because we got, you know, we still got to get up tomorrow and keep going the next day and the next day. Nate, you've been kind of quiet. I want to check in with you. How we doing? He done probably stepped away.
He sent a chat that his audio is in and out.
Thank you. I had to click over there. So we have two community pages going. I had to go over here, and it's amazing. So I just thank you all. Anybody want to share? Yeah, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh no, I was just saying. Oh, it's Nate's turn. Trying to get in.
Oh yeah, the turn is the taking turns of who's able to be in and who's not able to be in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with this understanding, if you had, let's maybe bring ourselves back together with this idea of if you had to choose a thing that was something you were gonna make sure you put inside of your traveling bag, or your suitcase, or your luggage, or your little medicine pouch, write it and make sure you write it on the list of things that must be done as a part of this forward movement. And if you have more than one thing, please share. But I would be curious to hear if there's any things that are coming up for anyone about our forward movement and what they mean, and your forward movement personally, and what that might be.
Yes, I was actually about to try to share this, but your question is really perfect. One of the things I also have discovered for myself during this time, and I assign it, let's say, to what I understand about the Jupiter retrograde for right now. And I'm not even going to bother to say that. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Through a set of circumstances, I came to the conclusion that this period is about what do you want, and then making sure you're doing it. And it's a little subtle. It's a very subtle presentation of that right now. It's like two things that you like, or you're expressing your experience in. It presents itself, and it's not even like this dramatic presentation. But right now, the currency of choosing what you really want to do is what's building the future. And so for me, that's that moment. The moment is really got to be everything. It's like moment to moment. I made plans 2 weeks ago to do X, Y, and Z. When it's time to do it, what is life saying that it needs from me right there? And it's going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It could be as simple as, I'll give you an example how it really kind of showed up for me. I had this show up for me in a set of choices, but I didn't really know it was a choice. And I was just having a conversation with my spirit, and it was like, oh, tell me all about a perfect day for you. And on that day, what would be a perfect day for you? I was like, oh, I'd like to go do this. First I do this, and then I do this, and then I do that. And it's like, okay, well, you could do all of those things, right? And I was like, yes, but I have to do this other thing because and it's like, but that wasn't even on your list. And I was like, but I obligated myself. That wasn't even on your list. And my life was like, I'm gathering intel so I can build the tracks for the future. And I really feel like, that conspiracy part of me feels like, I know they got a motherfucking astrologer on their side. Excuse my language. I know they got somebody in the arts and the esoteric to know timing. Can we call and steal that from y'all to build what we want? Can we do that? So for me, I'm carrying the moment, and I'm putting into the collective the option and the action to do what makes your heart sing, even if it's just to go on the beach and dance. That makes my heart sing when I'm supposed to be doing something else.
Can I just read a quote that directly speaks to what you're saying? And I'm so sorry that I keep bringing Audre Lorde up, but she's just like, I'm like in school and everything comes back to her in my life right now. The power you do not use is used against us, against you, against me, against our children, against our world. Terrible things are being done in our name. And I am thinking about that quote in the context of just what you said of like, you can redirect that power, like you can use that power instead of, knowing that there is like some strategy around like weaponizing our grief and rage. Like we can just use that instead. It's not that simple, but it's deep.
I agree. When I heard you say that, Crystal, the energy and the option and the action to do the thing that makes our heart sing, right? And how do we merge, if possible? You didn't say this at all. I'm just thinking for my own self. How do I merge the things that are that make me feel proud that I'm responsible for, like I did that, and as well as the things that make my heart sing? Is there a way to find a medium there? So I'm definitely, but to make my heart sing, yeah, I need to do way more of that. Thank you for bringing that one in. Anyone else would like to go before I go?
You got
I don't know what we're doing. What are we doing?
That's what I thought you were about to say. We are sharing something that we are moving forward with. What is one tool, one action, one frame mindset thing? I'm carrying my crystals, or I'm carrying my, my Bible. I'm being silly, but I'm carrying my spiritual text. But do you have a thing that you're moving forward with that you could share?
I don't understand the question. But there's a reason for that, because I'm having a conversation over here about know thyself. And it's, the movie, the trilogy, The Matrix, has been on this week. And I've been watching it. I found it interesting. Not so much of because of election, but because of what I'm going through. And I keep hearing, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. And so as you were sharing, what we're doing right now, I heard you in this ear, but we was processing in this ear, know thyself, know thyself. Because I was like, okay, who was that showed up and said all those things? You came in and started speaking, using my voice and stuff. And I'm here, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. And so I feel where I am is, and maybe this ties into what we're doing, moving forward is an experience of know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. I'm hearing that mantra in my spirit.
I received that so much because of and that takes me all the way back to the beginning. Like you said, who was that speaking? Know thyself. What is that hidden that I did not see before? When the therapist says, did they say that or did they not say that? And I had to realize they didn't say that. I guess I should go know what this actually is as opposed to what I have in my head. Thank you. I'll share that for me, what I'm moving forward with is a whole lot of surrender, a whole lot of let it all go. Like, I feel like I'm there's so many things that want to stick to me, to walk with me, and I want all of it to get up off me. I want all of this gotta do, must do, what's this to do, did you do that, what about this, what did we go to, all of that stuff. Give me a clean heart and a clean mind. I want as clean a slate as I can make it, which means like maybe the practice is going to be a different type of practice of clearing things off more regularly so that I can be free. But that's what I want to carry with me, this level of surrender, and surrender is not the same thing as get off me, because that actually is an action. So I don't know, maybe I'm carrying them both. I'm carrying surrender for the stuff I can't get off and an action for the stuff that I can let go. There may be both of these things that are happening for me. Surrender to what that's what I ain't got. That's when you got, so you're in the boat, huh? They're like, yeah, I'm in the boat. All right. But you over there, you in the water. All those other people, y'all in the water. We'll see. All right, my family. We're coming to the conclusion. Before we do, I wanted to just make an announcement for anyone who will be checking into the podcast that tomorrow, Hannah has put it up in our notes, we will be having a performance not a performance, but a community workshop for collective dreaming and visioning tomorrow at Lexington Market between 2 and 4. So for those people who are in the community who are here in the Baltimore area, you feel free to come out and make some paper with us and have some conversations with us. And we right, dare to dream. We are always encouraging us to dream. Yeah, and I appreciate that. So I wanted to share that with everyone. And we're going to get ready to close out, I think, unless there's something else that you guys wanted to talk about. We can go a little longer, but I'm just checking in. Are y'all feeling complete?
I just want to share one more thing.
Please.
Sometimes there will be this time when going back, even I thought about it when Rev talked about cleaning out the fridge. And there'll be these times where I will get possessed and I will throw almost all of my clothes away. And then when I sort of like get a chance to go, oh, okay, whatever. And then I'll go look for something and I'll be like, what in the heck? Where? No, I know I didn't give away this because this is one of my favorite outfits or whatever. And the first time it happened, I ended up giving my clothes to my friends because I get my clothes tailored. And y'all know, y'all already know, right, ladies? This is what is going on right now. Well, this last time it happened, this was probably about a month ago. And I had this event I needed to go to. And I was like, see, this is crazy. How could I not even have an event, this dress, which is perfect for this event? And my life responded back to me. It was like, this time you getting rid of these clothes because you're going to be in different places and you don't have the clothes for the places that you need to be in. And I thought, oh, that's true. Even as I'm going to this event that did not make my heart sing, I went. But the message that time was with the clothes was that, oh, because you're not going to be there, I'm telling you where you're not gonna be, so you can get ready for where you're gonna be. And I thought, thank you.
I really appreciate you sharing the release energy or the surrender energy story about the things that we're getting rid of. So thank you for that, because that means I might not beat myself up when I give away some stuff or get rid of some stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Because I do that. I don't mind. I think I like drama. In a former life, I was a thespian. And even in this life, I've been a thespian. So I think I have a relationship to drama. Anyway, any other closing words from anyone else before we close out? All right.
I think I'm just gonna say what I'm gonna bring with me, because I think I'm obviously bringing Audre Lorde with me. I don't know what's going on today, but also like the wisdom of people, who've come before. And also I'm gonna bring reaching out, because one of the most beautiful things about this week is the number of people who have reached out to me and who I've reached out to, and we've had a reconnection because of just trying to be there for each other in like a moment of crisis, and yeah, I want to bring that with me. So, and also thank you for like letting me pop into this space, even though I feel sometimes a little out of sync. But I'm really grateful for this as part of the reaching out and being in community. So thank you.
Ashe, Ashe. All right, dear friends. Well, I thank everyone so much for your time and your being here. I'm sending my Nate a message to let him know we are complete. But I thank you all, and we'll be back here in a couple weeks. See, oh no! Hold on a minute. Pause for the cause. Monday is a great day. And it's a day when one of our people turns a whole year older. So I had to make sure I could not. I'm like, hold on a minute. There was something that was supposed to be said. So I don't know which version you like. I don't know if you like the original, the Stevie, or to make up something brand new version. But which one do you? So it's your birthday, Red Bear, Red Bear. It's your birthday, Red Bear, Red Bear. It's your birthday, 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 Red Bear, Red Bear. Yay! So happy soon come birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Got a Scorpio in the house.
If you're talking, we can't hear you, Rev.
I was saying thank you, and I was saying 11/11, life path of 11, born 11 at night.
There will be no confusion.
No. Chaos, but no confusion.
Chaos with no confusion. I like that. I think you should
thank
brand
you.
that.
Thank you much. Thank you.
You're so
Yeah,
welcome.
we'll see what we'll see what comes out of this one.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Well, we gotta all ride it out together. We give thanks for you being in the boat and that we get to, splash around with the Scorpio energy a little longer. So thank you so much. So we'll be back here in a couple weeks. And I thank everyone for showing up and look forward to the next time we get to see each other. All right. Peace, everyone.
Peace. Love you all.
Good to see everyone.
I'm hopeful he's gonna end it soon. It still says live.
I do see that. Can we? We'd have to leave. Okay.
Yeah, we can leave.
I was gonna say we can go to the back room, but I don't think we can just go to the back room. Okay. Well, I'm gonna call you in a minute.
All right, call me in a minute. All right. Peace, everyone.
Peace.